Hi, and welcome to my video all about holy stones in Romancing Saga Re-Universe. If you're new to the game and wondering what the heck the holy stones are, how you use them, or have any other questions, I'm hoping to answer everything there is to know about them in this video, so stay tuned. So to get started, let's quickly answer the question, what is a holy stone? Holy stones are basically like gems or jewels that you socket into your gear. If you've played other RPGs, you're probably familiar with this concept, but let's quickly take a look at what that looks like. So if I come to any place where I can see my character's equipment, and I long press on a piece of their gear, like this sword for example. Actually, let me open up the character screen here. Now if I long press on a piece of gear, it opens up this sub-window where I can set a holy stone. Right now you can see there's nothing present. If you just press the Set Holy Stone button, you can choose which holy stone to socket into the weapon. Any weapon or piece of gear can only hold one holy stone, so that kind of keeps it simple. Now, what do holy stones do? The general function of them is pretty simple. Typically, they're either going to increase your damage that you deal, or decrease the damage that you take. Now, there are some specialized ones, like this one, for instance, decreases your target's charm resistance. If you're, for example, trying to do a CC build on a particular character, you might consider using something like this. But typically, what you're going to be using in the weapon is something that increases damage. Let me find an example here. Because this is a great sword, I might want to use the Greatsword Plus jewel. When Greatsword is equipped, increases damage dealt to enemies by 12%. That means by virtue of having this gem in there, this character will always do 12% increased damage on all of her attacks, just because she has a Greatsword equipped. So this is pretty good. So now let's answer the question of where do you get these holy stones from? Back out to the quest menu. The first important thing to note about farming holy stones is that, as of right now in the game anyway, there is no permanent location to farm them, meaning they're only available during limited periods of time. Now the good news is that these Cave of Holy Stones events come about relatively often. In my experience, I'm going to estimate once every month or two we get one of these Holy Stones events that comes around for 10 or 15 days, which typically gives you plenty of time to farm the Holy Stones you want. Now, if this is your first time seeing this, you might get a little bit overwhelmed because you'll at least have these three events here: weapon, armor, and gear holy stones. In this case, we also have a special fourth event, Shadow in the Cave of Holy Stones, which I'm not going to go into too much because this is more of a one-time kind of thing. These Cave of Weapon, Armor, and Gear ones are the ones that tend to be recurring. So how does it work? Well, first you got to choose what type of holy stone you want to farm. Weapon holy stones, as the name implies, can only be socketed into weapons, armor into armor, and gear into gear. Personally, I would prioritize weapons over armor and gear, but it's up to you. Maybe if you're really struggling with survivability, you might want to go for armor or gear holy stones first. But let's pop into one of these and see what it looks like. Again, if this is your first time looking at one of these, you might get a little bit overwhelmed because there's a bunch of different options here. You might not have all of these different floors that I have, for example, because I think you have to unlock these in sequential order. But you play these to farm this event currency, these precious stones, as well as to get the occasional holy stone drop and the occasional holy stone shards. So if I click into this, look at the rewards. This treasure box represents the actual holy stones themselves that can drop. It's just random. And this isn't the main way you get them, by the way. And these holy stone shards we're going to go into more later, but you're going to ultimately end up wanting to farm a lot of these. But again, this isn't the main method to farm them. The main reason you would do these stages is to get these limited time event currencies and to get these pickaxes. Now, why are the pickaxes important? Because if I go over here to the very top, the pickaxes are what you use to get access to the excavation sprees and the normal excavation. The only difference between normal excavation and the spree is that it costs 10 times, the spree costs 10 times as many pickaxes and awards 10 times as many results. As far as I'm aware though, it's not necessarily more efficient, so don't worry about having to save up 1,000 before you spend them. You can also just spend 100 at a time. Now, let's finally answer the question of where do you get the majority of your holy stones from? It's going to be this option here, the holy stone excavation and the holy stone excavation spree. Now, to show you how this works, let's go ahead and do one of these. I'm going to choose this one since I only have 400 pickaxes. You come here, you do the battle. It's going to use 100 of my pickaxes. And all we're going to do here is mine some rocks for some holy stone. So just hit it once, any of your characters, that ends the battle, and you get your holy stones. Okay, so in this case I got a rank 5 slash stone. And again, if I were to do the spree excavation, which costs 10 times as many pickaxes, I would get 10 holy stones instead of just 1. So if you're just starting out, getting holy stones for the first time, my advice would be get as many pickaxes as you can and spend them on the holy stone excavation levels to find as many different holy stones as you can. The only reason I would switch into farming shards is if you've already got a good spread of holy stones, including the ones you want to use, or you just got really lucky in farming holy stones and you got all the specific ones that you want for your team and you're really not interested in getting any of the others. So now what do the shards do? Why would you farm the shards? The shards are what you use to upgrade the holy stones. As you saw when I did the holy stone excavation, I got a rank 5 slash gem. All those gems can go up to level 10 at max, and to get that rank 5 stone to level 10, I would have to spend these weapon shards. So that's why I said you're ultimately going to end up farming a ton of these things, because you're going to have to spend a ton of them to upgrade all of your holy stones. The shard excavation, by the way, works exactly the same as the holy stone excavation. It just awards shards instead of holy stones. Now the Cave of Armor and Cave of Gear holy stones are essentially the same. They work the same way. You can farm holy stones or shards. Just note that it's going to be unique to armor holy stones in this one, and in gear holy stones in this last one here. Now, where do you look at your holy stones and where do you upgrade them? If we come back to the forge, at some point you'll unlock these last two options where you can set the holy stones, which you don't need to do from this menu. As I showed you, you can do it from the party menu. And this last one is enhance, fuse, or sell holy stones. If we come here, here's where you do all of your kind of maintenance and upkeep of the holy stones themselves. So let's say you found a stone you want to use. Let's pick a good one. this full HP plus. Let's say you found this and you want to upgrade it. This one's rank 4, so I'd come here to the top, I'd select Enhance at the top, and then you have 2 options at the bottom, 1-time Enhance for 100 shards or 10 times Enhance for 1,000. There's no real reason to choose the lower one. I always just go for the higher one, assuming I have enough shards to do it. And then it gives you a somewhat random amount of EXP. So if I do this a few times and you look at the number that pops up, it's probably going to be different every time. I got 26 there, 18, let's see what I get here, 23. And you just keep doing this until the bar fills up and you get to the next level. There we go, rank up. Now my bonus increases my damage dealt by 10%. And what it's telling me here is, because I did a 10 times upgrade and not all of those upgrades were necessary, it's going to refund the ones that were not spent. So that's why I said it doesn't hurt to always choose the 10 times option. It's not going to be less efficient than doing 1 times each. So that's how you upgrade them. Like I said, rank 10 is the max, and you spend holy shards to upgrade them. Now, if you look at the top here, we have a few different options. We can also fuse. I wouldn't recommend you do this early on because it's highly resource intensive and honestly just not that useful. It re-rolls one of your stones into a different one. So this is full HP. If I fused it, it might re-roll to something completely different, like, I don't know, Blunt/Sun. Again, not terribly useful and pretty expensive, so I don't necessarily recommend it. The sell tab is where you go to sell any shards that you don't want. So I can demonstrate that. I don't really want this rank 2 Petrify, so I can click it, click sell, and this will give me some additional weapon shards. If you end up farming a lot of holy stones, you're definitely going to want to come in here at some point and sell the ones you don't want, just to get those extra weapon shards to spend. Now let's answer what I think is the last part of this video, the last question, which is, what holy stones do you want to equip on your characters? What are you targeting when you go to farm holy stones? And to answer that, I'm going to start with armor and gear holy stones, because I think the answer there is actually pretty simple. If I come here to my party, I should have these holy stones equipped already. So let's look at this piece of gear. Yep. So in this armor piece, I have an Abate All armor holy stone. If you read the description, it says it always reduces damage taken by 10%. No special conditions to it, it simply adds a 10% damage reduction at all times. In my opinion, and I think in the opinion of a lot of players, this is the de facto armor stone to use, because there's no strings attached. It's always relevant, always going to be effective. What are your other options? Now, you can find holy stones that are more specific. For example, they may reduce damage taken from blunt attacks or some type of elemental attack. The problem with those is you're going to have to switch them out every time you're doing a different battle. And a lot of battles, they may do a variety of different types of attacks to your characters, in which case having a holy stone that only reduces damage from one type is not going to be very useful. So again, TLDR, farm Abate Alls for your armor stones, and the same is actually true for your gear as well. In fact, let me put one in here. So gear holy stones have the same exact options as far as I'm aware as armor holy stones, and again, you want to farm the Abate All. Now for weapons, weapons are a little bit more complex, because the weapon or the holy stone you want to use for the weapon is going to depend on the character and the type of attacks they're doing. Probably the most premier weapon Holy Stone you can use on a lot of characters is going to be, let me see if I can find it, it's going to be the full HP one. The reason being, if I'm not mistaken, the full HP gives the largest damage bonus increase out of all the weapon stones, with one significant condition. It only takes effect when the character's HP is full. So why is this good? Because of fast attacks. So if I come over here to Joe, for example, look at her skills. So here's an example of a fast attack. If you look at the description, it says it's fast. If you're not familiar with these, all the fast attribute means is that it takes priority over other moves. So regardless of what your character's agility is, if they have fast on the ability that they're using, they will always go first, unless another character is also using a fast attack and has higher agility. So because she's got fast on this attack, that means, at least on turn 1, her HP is always going to be full when she's attacking, which is why it makes sense to actually have a full HP in her weapon. Now, I don't have it in this one, but let me fix that real quick, because I absolutely should. Let's just grab this one here. So now, whenever she begins a round with her fast attack, she'll get a 20% damage increase, which is pretty massive. So generally speaking, for your fast attackers, your fast AoE attackers, you're going to want full HP plus. For non-fast attackers, you're generally going to want something like, this is not a great example, you're going to want weapon 1. So because she has a bow equipped here, I really want a bow plus equipped on her. So here's a bow plus. Choose this one. Now, why do you want... so I want to point out this difference here. She had a Pierce Plus equipped before. Why do I want Bow Plus over Pierce Plus? Because she's only doing piercing damage as well, so either one is going to take effect, but the bow is better, the bow Holy Stone is better, because it's actually going to give a greater damage increase. Let me see if I can show you an example of this. So Slash Plus gives 1% per level. If I look at this Bow Plus, this is rank 3, this is 4.5%, meaning it gives 1.5% damage per level. So a little bit better than choosing a damage type. Choose the weapon type instead. So because she's got a bow equipped, I'm going to equip Bow Plus. And that's basically the approach I take. Like I mentioned earlier in the video, there are some status effect Holy Stones. So if you're doing a predominantly status effect approach on a character, you can equip something like poison resistance to decrease the target's poison resistance, or darkness, or any of the statuses in the game have a corresponding Holy Stone. The problem with these is that it only takes effect on the attack. See, you kind of need to build up the decreased resistances on these targets before you really get the benefit from it, I guess. That being said, personally, I've never used these. I don't have a lot of experience with them. They may totally be worth using if you're running that kind of build. For me personally, though, I just tend to stick to more damage on my weapons, because why CC an enemy when you can just outright kill it? Anyway, that's basically all there is to it. If you do have any further comments about Holy Stones, feel free and put them in the comments, and I'll be sure and try and answer them. But it's really pretty simple. I think the most confusing thing is just looking at the Holy Stone stages and wondering what the difference between them is. So I hope I clarified that for all of you. And good luck with your Holy Stone farming. Sign out and see you in the next one. Thanks again for watching.